Hello and welcome to Living in Indianapolis, Indiana. I am Evan Deal with Elite Icon Team and eXp Realty, and today we are going to zoom over the map of Speedway, Indiana, and take a look at what makes Indiana's racing capital such an amazing place to live. But before we do that, be sure to leave a like on this video. If you like racing, if you like real estate, if you like lifestyle, if you like anything, leave a like. Hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so that you are kept in the loop on everything that happens in and around the Circle City, this place that we love, this place that we call home. We want you to be a part of it. Now, with that, let's take a closer look at Speedway. All right, now let's take a map view of Speedway, Indiana. So we have our Circle City here, Indianapolis. And Speedway is on the west side of Indianapolis, and it's actually inside the loop. You know, we've spent a lot of time on this channel looking at the suburbs all around Indianapolis, but Speedway is not a suburb. And in fact, it's not even part of Indianapolis. It's its own city within Marion County. So let's zoom in and take a look at Speedway. So the first thing that's going to catch your eye is the massive amount of green space over here. But is it green space? Yeah, well, kind of. It's not your traditional park. It's the IMS, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we have the Indy 500 and we have the Brickyard 400 and the Verizon 200 and the Indy Grand Prix and all sorts of races and qualifiers throughout the year. So this is obviously the cultural touchstone of Speedway, Indiana, and the major axis around which everything revolves. So you can see the beautiful tower there. We have the track, and it's just an awesome place to be. You know, it's a special memory every year for over 500,000 people in May. You know, we have billboards all around Indianapolis that say, "This is May," because you just know what it means. It's the race is coming up, and it's the race. You know, it's not just a race. It's such an important part of Indianapolis culture and Indiana culture. This track, the races there, it's very special, not only to the people of Speedway, but to the people of Indianapolis as a whole. And if you live in Speedway, it's a big part of day-to-day life. It's not just a seasonal thing. During race day, it takes over the entire town of Speedway. You have people will rent out their lawns for parking because there are hundreds of thousands of people coming into this tiny community with, you know, of like 13,000 people within Indianapolis. And it's just amazing. You get all these people come in from all over the country, all over the world. And so the residents there can actually use as an income opportunity. You can rent out your house as like an Airbnb or Vrbo type of deal. You can use your lawn for parking. You can do all of the above. And it actually can help pay your mortgage throughout the year. And I mentioned in our pros and cons video, but the house prices in Speedway are actually really affordable compared to other areas. It's below the average for the overall Indianapolis metro area, and it's very comparable with Indianapolis. So the IMS is the biggest area within Speedway. There's actually, I mean, it's so big, you could fit Lucas Oil and Gainbridge and a Victory Field many times over into the IMS itself. It's humongous, and you really get a sense of the scale when you're up close and personal there. And you know, there's a golf course inside the IMS. There's plenty of seating for hundreds of thousands of fans. It's a miles-long track. It's just a massive, amazing area, and that's what Speedway is built around. But it's not the only thing in Speedway. So let's take a look at the downtown. Speedway has a really neat downtown with a lot of restaurants that are local. You have Dawson's on Main, you have Barbecue and Bourbon, you have Big Woods. It's just really cool, and it's got its own vibe. There's no place quite like it. So let's take a trip. You can see there's sort of a mix of historic and newer. It's very fresh feeling. Parking's very easy within Speedway when it's not, you know, like peak race season and everyone's at the track. But it's just a cool place to hang out. And, you know, you have the IMS Museum, which is really neat, but under renovations currently. But really, very very cool place to be. And there's no place quite like Speedway within Indianapolis. But there's no lack of things to do. You kind of get that like summer porch vibe when you're out hanging out. It's race season and just having a good time with friends and family. So can't recommend it highly enough. It's a great place to live in Speedway, but also an amazing place to visit. Like one of the best places in Indiana to visit. Just a very, very, very cool vibe and plenty to do. So let's back out a little bit. Those are the main kind of, you have the downtown, you have the track. That is what Speedway revolves around. It's not like a lot of the suburbs where you have a ton of different parks that you're going to explore. There is a bit of green space in, let's dive in. We have Leonard Park. I'm going to pull it up here for you. So, there is some of that park and recreation. You have the B&O Trail, of course, but it's not the same as you see in nature-based suburbs like in Zionsville where there are parks everywhere, or Brownsburg where you have Eagle Creek. That's not really the vibe of Speedway. So it exists there, but it's more built around the track. So let's go ahead and dive into the real estate market in Speedway and check out some of the cool historic homes there. All right, let's take a look at the houses in and around Speedway. So this is going to look a little different than a lot of the suburb videos we've done because, like I mentioned, Speedway is not a suburb. It's its own city. And within that, you're going to see a lot of similar homes. They're older homes within Speedway, and they're smaller. You have a lot of bungalows. You have a lot of brick ranchers. So let's take a look at these. And actually, I'm going to zoom out first. You can see right here, there's not a ton of difference in price. It's always going to vary based on the actual house itself. But north to south, you don't see a ton of difference throughout Speedway. It's a very sort of similarly priced community throughout. So let's take a look at some of the examples of the homes. We have a 223, 3-bed, 1-bath. Here we jump up to a 382, actually 4-bed, 3-bath, but 2,200 square feet. Not as big as a lot of the houses you see in the suburbs of Indianapolis because these are city houses built on city lots. So they're smaller lots. Here we have 2-bed, 1-bath for 160. So we've seen about the full gamut there. Here's a 257, 3-bed, 1.5-bath, 2,600 square feet. You can see it's a ranch style home. 225, 3-bed, 1.5-bath, 1,400 square feet. Here, this one gets up to 290, 3-bed, 2.5-bath. What type of house is it? That's right, it's a rancher. Here's a 260, 4-bed, 2-bath, 230,000, about 1,800 square feet. Here's a 231, 3-bed, 1-bath. You can see smaller homes, smaller lots. They're compact. They're well structured throughout the community. Let's zoom in here a little bit down here. You can see how all of the streets are laid out. They're very clean lateral streets throughout Speedway, and very easy to navigate around the area. And it's just a well laid out city. So 260,000, 225,000, 2-bed, 1-bath. Here's a 274 that's active, 2-bed, 2-bath. So you can just see it's a very similar market throughout. You're not seeing a ton of different types of property all over the place. And by and large, they're going to be older homes. So let's double click into a couple of them. So built 1966. Here's a 285. Let's check it out. Built 1959. Let's take one more just for good measure. Click into it. Built 1962. So you can see there's lots of more historic homes. We're talking 50, 60-year-old homes, even more, even back to 1912 in Speedway. Development happened here a long time ago. That's why you see some smaller homes. But if you like that feel, if you like the historic feel, it's a great place for different home options in Speedway. If you don't mind a little bit of refurbishment, you know, some of the houses that are bought here, you may want to bring up to modern standards in some ways around the house, whether it's the bones of the house or just some of the features of day-to-day life in the house. But that's what the real estate market looks like in Speedway. This is the inventory there. They are smaller homes, but it's a really great option for people who are looking to downsize, who don't want as big of a house to deal with all the upkeep and everything, or who really like that historic feel, or for people who just want like a one level house too. There's lots of options for like bungalows and for ranches within Speedway. Let's run down some of the stats for the Speedway area. The population in Speedway is a little over 13,000, and this is growing very slowly. So it doesn't have the explosive growth that some of the suburbs around Indianapolis have because it's a developed area. It's about tapped out in terms of space, and you're not going to see this grow significantly over time. So it may continue to steadily increase, but it shouldn't go too much further above where it is now. In terms of schools, the school system in Speedway is very highly regarded according to the rankings. It is the number 8 school system according to niche.com. And for public high schools, it's ranked number 11 in the state of Indiana, also according to niche.com. So the schools are very highly ranked for the Indianapolis area. The median home price in Speedway is between $240,000 to $250,000, and you see most homes range in that $200,000 to $350,000 range. The crime rate in Speedway is 1.5%, which is below both the Indiana and national averages. And some of the notable events every year in Speedway include, of course, the Indianapolis 500 with 500,000 visitors coming in. It is the greatest spectacle in racing. There's a Brickyard 400 as well, in addition to the Verizon 200 and the Indy Grand Prix. There's also Movie on Main during the summer where you can see movies at Main Street venues, and the Speedway Cruise In, which is year-round, classic car shows at Daredevil Brewing, and there are just tons of events all over the place in Speedway that are related to the racetrack and the historic downtown. That's it for our look at Speedway Indiana. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. And if you like this video, leave a like. It really helps and it's greatly appreciated. And be sure, while you're there, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so that you stay in the loop for everything that's happening in and around Indianapolis, the Circle City, this great city that we love and call home. For living in Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm Evan Deal with Lead Icon Team and eXp Realty, and we cannot wait to see you in the next video.